Hey guys, it's me Jay. A couple of weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, when Mixes premiered, I said I was gonna do a week by week review, and I kind of forgot that because I really didn't go back to the video, and I forgot to do it. And my apologies. And one of my subscribers, Lisa, she reminded me that I was supposed to do that, and I completely forgot. My apologies to that. I got caught up in the hype of the Joker movie. I got caught up other things like the premiere of WWE SmackDown, the premiere of other wrestling shows. Just completely forgot about Mixed and forgot to watch and forgot to view it. But my apologies, that won't happen again. And here is my thoughts on the season one, episode two of the series Mixish called The Warrior. Now, as we know from the background of my old review in episode one, now the family lives in the suburbs. They no longer live on the commune, and they have to adjust to living living their life on in the regular world. So one of the ways they have to do that is by Rainbow, Santa Monica, and Johan going to school. And when they go to school, their school is set up in such a way that black African American kids sit on one side of the cafeteria, and white Caucasian students sit on the other end of the cafeteria. And while Santa Monica and Johan make their choices pretty clear, they sit wherever they want to sit. For Rainbow, it's difficult because she she just doesn't know what side to choose. So it comes to a point where there's a fight between these two girls. One is Tamika, a black girl. The other is Rebecca, a Caucasian girl. And she doesn't know what side to choose. And in her mind, she has a fantasy that she chooses both sides on different occasions, and the other side ostracizes her. So one day at home, when her dad asked everyone, "Well, what did you do? What do you do to change the world?" And she says, "Well, why should there be so much pressure on me to change society when I'm just a kid, 12 years old, and you haven't done anything? All you did was make this cauliflower casserole." So she comes up with the idea that she'll do what they used to do in the commune, and she'll ask them to go into a circle and to unite. But this backfires on her because even though the black and the white side do unite, they unite in teasing her. The white girl Rebecca throws spaghetti at her in her on her suspenders, and she ends up having to eat lunch in the bathroom. Meanwhile, a side plot is her mom. Her mom is entering the workplace, and this was a very common theme in the 80s, women entering the workplace and men staying at home doing the domestic chores. And this was the case in Rainbow's family. We saw this in many other 80s TV shows that were out even during that time, like Who's the Boss and Mr. Belvedere and Green Growing Pains. But the man stayed home, even in the Cosby Show. The man stayed home, and the woman worked outside the home. This was new in the 80s, but it was a common theme on television. So being that this show looks back to the 80s, and being that in 2019 more women work than men, we see the results of this. So anyway, she's in her workplace, and a guy gives her a sort of backhanded compliment, saying that her proposal to her boss was quote unquote actually good. In other words, he didn't expect her as a woman of color to give a good proposal, but she did. So he gave her a backhanded compliment, and she didn't really know how to react to this. She's like, "Well, what do I say to this? Do I backhand him? Do I report him? Do I?" Nowadays they probably report a guy like that to human resources. But again, women and men working together in the workplace was new, and people of color and Caucasian people working together in the workplace was new. The Civil Rights Act had only been passed in 1965, and this was 1985. This was only 20 years removed from total integration. And plus, in her case, again, her family was not living in normal society. They were living in a commune and they weren't used to normal conventions. So she decides to confront him about it. And when she confronts him, he makes some kind of another comments about, oh, well, the boss had to say that your proposal was good. Otherwise, you'd call up Al Sharpton to sue him or some shit like that. And she just has a fantasy that she'll go off. But in the end, she doesn't go off. She just ignores it because she doesn't want to lose her job. She doesn't want to jeopardize her family's income behind this guy's sexism and racism. So again, going back to the plot with Bo. Bo decides to eat lunch in the bathroom, but little does she know that there is a Hispanic girl named Michaela that also is eating lunch in the bathroom. Because just like Bo, this Hispanic girl doesn't fit the black-white binary of the school either. So they quickly become friends, and later on they decide to buck the political system of the school and bring out a table and eat lunch together, and they attract other outcast students like Bo's siblings, like nerdy kids, like Asians, all kinds of outcasts. Meanwhile, the father, again, is being mocked by members of his wife's family, his wife's sister, Denise, because he doesn't work. He doesn't have a job. And plus, what Bo said to him about him not changing the world really bothered his masculinity. He felt like he had to work in order to support his family because that's what traditionally men had done throughout the ages. But now, again, like I said, this was a common theme being explored in the 80s, both in real life and on television. So he feels left out. So his sister-in-law tells him, look, you're Caucasian, you have white privilege. It should be easy for you to go out and get a job just like that. But unfortunately, he finds out it's not as easy as he thought. He had doors slammed in his face, and once they found out that the police had raided his family's commune and he was arrested, it was a no-go for him. But in the middle of the night, he finds Bo, and he has a discussion with Bo, and he says, you can change the world by just being you. And then that's what she does with her Hispanic friend. They bring out the table from the lunchroom, and they eat it, and they create their own crew. They don't need the crew of these other bully kids. They create their own. Overall, I thought this episode was good because people found in their lives purpose. The mom found purpose in ignoring the bigotry, because sometimes you have to ignore the bigotry and you have to take it on the chin, and you have to respond with violence, whether it be verbally or physically, with nonviolence. That was the message of Martin Luther King. While other times you have to be proactive. If you You want to have to be the change you see in the world, and that's what Bo represents. And the father represents America slowly adjusting to these new racial and gender realities, and so does the aunt, because she thinks it's all about race, and it isn't. You know, it's all about socioeconomic class too. It's about experience. You know, things aren't as clear cut then as they were 20 years before, and they're definitely not as clear cut now as they were even then. You know, there is no doubt there is colorism, there is white privilege, there is this, there is that, but as Mark Paul Gosselaar's character finds out, it's not that simple. And it's also not as simple as these kids think that it is. The kids think it's very simple. It's all black and white, the kids at school. But Bo shows them a different way. The people are more complex and people are more open. Peace.